It's everyone's favorite time of the year, not because the holidays are coming up, but because everyone's posting their Q4 What's in My Wallet videos. Today I'll be taking y'all through my wallet in its entirety, starting with all the credit cards that I use on a regular basis. Then I'll talk about the debit card I use to never have to pay ATM fees worldwide. Then I'll show y'all some of the hidden stuff I have stowed away to my wallet that you might find interesting. Let's go ahead and jump right into it with the credit cards I have in my wallet. Now the first card I have in my wallet that will be making an appearance here in Q4 of 2022 is the OG Chase Freedom Flex. So for those of y'all who watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I actually did just product change into this card from my Chase Freedom student card. And some of y'all may be wondering why I went with the OG Chase Freedom over the Chase Freedom Flex or the Chase Freedom Unlimited for that matter. And the reason that I did this in summary is because I haven't actually got the Chase Freedom Flex yet or applied for it fresh, which means I'm still eligible for the sign-up bonus on that card. And I do already have the Chase Freedom Unlimited, as we'll talk about later. So in product changing to the OG Chase Freedom rather than the Chase Freedom Flex, I keep myself eligible for that bonus on the Chase Freedom Flex. So in the future, when I am under 524 and I'm looking for a nice little $200 welcome bonus, I'll probably apply for the Chase Freedom Flex then. Now this OG Chase Freedom is actually not eligible for new applicants, and you can only get this card by product changing to it. And the cool thing about this card is that it does still earn 5x in those rotating quarterly categories that the Chase Freedom Flex earns in, and that of course is up to $1,500 worth of spend in the quarter. Plus it earns 1x on everything else, but it doesn't earn any elevated rewards on those other categories that the Chase Freedom Flex covers pretty well. So this card is in my wallet for one reason and one reason only this quarter, and that's going to be for the rotating quarterly categories. Now if you didn't see my community post or any of the videos announcing the Q4 categories, Chase decided to go with PayPal and Walmart for the two categories this quarter. So for me, I'll probably be focusing on the PayPal category since the holidays are coming up and I could shop online using PayPal instead of my card itself. That way I'd secure 5x back on all of those online purchases. The only issue I do have with this card is since it was product changed from my first card, the Chase Freedom Student, it has a really low credit limit of about $2,000, which is gonna be kind of hard for me to work with, but I'm always gonna go ahead and make those early payments onto this card before the statement close date in order to actually bring my utilization down before it gets reported to the credit bureaus. I should also mention that this card comes with a $10 per month GoPuff credit along with my other Chase cards that we'll be talking about later. Now the next card I have in my wallet is going to be another Chase card, and I did mention it earlier, and that's gonna be the Chase Freedom Unlimited. As y'all well know by now, this is my most recommended catch-all card out of any of the other credit cards out there, since it does earn at least 1.5x on all of your purchases. On top of that, this card is gonna earn you 3x on dining, 3x on drugstores, and 5x on travel booked through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. And for me, of course, this is gonna be my catch-all card, meaning that in any category that I don't already get higher earning rates in, this is gonna be the card I use. Another way to put that is that this is my everything else card, so when in doubt, I'm gonna pull this one out. So some of y'all may wonder why I don't use a flat 2% cashback card for my catch-all card. And there are gonna be three main reasons that I love this card over all the other 2% cards. For one, this card doesn't just earn 1.5% cashback and that's it. It also earns elevated rewards in those categories I just mentioned, so it makes it a pretty decent one card setup, especially whenever you can use it for 3x back on dining, which is a category that you're gonna be using really often. On top of that, this is a Chase card, which makes up part of my Chase trifecta, and since your rewards are given to you on this card in the form of Chase Ultimate Rewards points, you can combine them with all of your other Chase Ultimate Reward point earning cards. That way you can earn a ton of Ultimate Rewards points and use them all at once for a big travel trip or something like that. And third, since this is a card that I use as part of my Chase trifecta, I do transfer all of these points onto my third Chase card that we'll talk about later, and then transfer all of those points out to travel partners, which effectively makes all of my Chase Ultimate Rewards points worth at least 2 cents per point when going to redeem, and that theoretically means that instead of earning 1.5x with this card on everything else, I'm actually earning 3x. I should also mention that in the past, this was my gas station card as well, because when I applied for the card, I got 20,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, plus 5% back on gas stations, up to $6,000 worth of spend in the first year, for only spending $500 in the first 3 months of having the card, and that's still the welcome offer that is going on right now. So for very limited amount of spend, this card can give you a ton of value in the first year. On top of that, this card also comes with a $10 per month GoPuff credit that I use every month. As y'all can tell by now, this card is my favorite catch-all card out of any credit card out there. And if you want to know even more reasons that you should apply for this card yourself, then go ahead and watch that video that I linked in the card earlier in the video, after you finish this one, of course. The next card I have in my wallet is going to be a break from the Chase credit cards we've been talking about, and it's actually going to be the Citi Custom Cash. Now, in my opinion, this card is the most versatile card you could add to your setup, and that's why I consider it my filler card. And to know what I mean by that, let's go ahead and talk about how it earns. So this card is going to earn 5x in your top eligible spend category every single month, up to $500 worth of spend, and 1x on everything else. Now, those categories that it earns 5x in are going to be really broad. Like for example, you have restaurants, gas stations, live entertainment, grocery stores, and a bunch more categories on top of that. So with those earning rates, this obviously isn't going to be the best one card setup of them all. However, I think if you use this card as like a 4th or 5th addition to your wallet, you can basically mold it to earn in whatever category you need it to in order to supplement the earnings that your other cards don't do very well in. So for me, this is actually the card that replaced my gas station spend on my Chase Freedom Unlimited. Because without that welcome bonus, all of the other cards that I have in my wallet get a maximum of 1.5x on my Chase Freedom Unlimited in gas station categories. So being able to dedicate this card to just gas every single month to earn myself 5x on all of those purchases is pretty great. And obviously, like I said, this card can actually mold to fit whatever specific situation you need it for, but I do think gas is one of the most popular categories that this card is used for, since nobody spends more than about $500 on gas every single month. So just remember to keep that monthly spending limit in mind whenever you go to get this card. But the fact that this card is so flexible means that if I did have a month coming up where I knew I'd be spending a lot of money in live entertainment, for example, I could just dedicate this card to just those purchases in that month and guarantee myself 5x back in that category. On top of that, I also use this card as my cell phone insurance, basically. And the reason for that is because this is a MasterCard, and this card comes with $1,000 per year cell phone protection. So whenever I recently upgraded my phone to the iPhone 13 Pro, I actually got to deny the insurance that they were offering me at $17 per month plus tax. And that's all thanks to me having this card that I know I could use for at least $1,000 a year if I needed to. And keeping with the apparent blue theme that I have going on in my wallet with all the credit cards I've shown so far, this 4th card is going to be the card that actually comes out of my wallet at the very least, but also has a $95 annual fee. And of course, that card is going to be the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So of course, you may be wondering why I never pull this card out of my wallet if it does have a $95 annual fee and it looks so cool because it's partially metal. Now, before I get into why, let's talk about how the card actually earns. So this card is also going to earn 5x on all travel booked through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal, 2x on all miscellaneous travel, 3x on dining, 3x on online grocery store purchases, 3x on select streaming services, and 1x on everything else. So really the only place that this card differs from the Chase Freedom cards is that it does earn 2x on that miscellaneous travel category, 3x on those online grocery store purchases, and 3x on select streaming services. Plus it doesn't have the 3x back on drugstores that the Chase Freedom Unlimited and Chase Freedom Flex come with. Now I will say that I do get some use from this card out of that travel category because it covers things like hotels or Airbnbs or even Ubers, for example. But for me, I actually don't really ever use Ubers, and I also have another card that I use for all my flight bookings, so the only time this card comes in handy is going to be for hotels and Airbnbs, which I don't use that often. I also don't use the online grocery category, and I don't know many people that actually do use that, and I try to keep away from as many subscriptions as possible, so I might have like one on here that gets 3x, which I guess isn't bad. At this point, you may be thinking, well, why the heck did you get this card if you're not going to ever use it? But the reason I have this card in my wallet is because it completes that Chase trifecta, and this is the card that unlocks the ability for me to transfer all of my points out to travel partners. And yes, those points do include my OG Chase Freedom points and my Chase Freedom Unlimited points, because I can combine all of those points onto this card through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal, and then use this card to either transfer out to travel partners or book all of my travel through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal at an elevated rate. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, if you do transfer your Chase points out to travel partners, you can effectively value your points at least 2 cents per point. So having this card right here for a measly $95 annual fee allows me to double the value of all of my Chase Ultimate Rewards points that I've earned. So that's a ton of value that I get for having a $95 annual fee card, and I'm gonna happily pay that every year. And to prove that point to you even further, right now I have about 150,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, and if I only had those points on my Chase Freedom Unlimited and OG Chase Freedom, the maximum amount of value I could get from those points would be $1,500 worth of cash back, and that of course is gonna be at a 1 cent per point valuation, which is the maximum you can get with those cards. But if I put all those points onto this card and transfer them out to get 2 cents per point in value, that effectively makes those points worth $3,000. And basically what that means is that in the first year of having this card, I've earned $1,500 worth of value by having it. But that's not even the end of it. This card also comes with an annual $50 hotel credit when booking travel through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal. So that's gonna bring the effective annual fee down to just $45. So for all that value that I just mentioned I get with this card, to pay $45 is kind of a joke. And once again, since this is a Chase card, I do actually use the $10 per month GoPuff credits, which brings me to a total of $30 per month in GoPuff for free that I have with all my Chase cards. But at the end of the day, the purpose of this card is to be a pass-through entity for all of my Chase Ultimate Rewards points to go out to transfer partners. And everything else on top of that is kind of a bonus to me. And I would highly recommend that you check out this video next if you want to learn how you can redeem your Chase points for the most value. Now we come to the 5th card in my wallet, which is a new addition into my arsenal in the past few months, and that is going to be the Amex Gold card. Now this card has become an absolute workhorse for me ever since I got it back in June. This card earns 4x on US supermarkets, plus 4x on restaurants worldwide, and it also gives you 3x on all flight purchases when booked directly through the airlines, which is a really good sneaky perk, and that's why I use this card for flights over my Chase Sapphire Preferred, and it also earns 1x on everything else. Now this all sounds well and good, but this card also does come with a $250 annual fee, and that's a big reason that I waited so long to get this card. But what you have to realize is that this card comes with 2 major credits that offset that annual fee down to just an effective $10 annual fee every year. The first credit is going to be an Uber Cash credit that comes to you in the form of $10 per month Uber Cash deposits into your Uber account. And don't get any crazy ideas, because those $10 per month Uber Cash credits that get deposited into your account are not going to roll over, so you have to use them every single month. And the cool thing about this credit is that you can use it for either Uber Rides or Uber Eats, and for me, keeping it in the theme of this being my food category card, I use it for Uber Eats over Uber Rides. In addition to the Uber Cash credit, this card also comes with a $10 per month dining credit that comes to you in the form of $10 per month statement credits after you spend at these select locations. The locations you can use this perk for are pretty limited, but they do include Shake Shack, for example, and the one that I use it for the most would be Grubhub. The reason I use Grubhub is because that effectively earns me $20 per month in delivery food that I can get with this card. So obviously this card for me is going to be a dedicated food card. Anytime that I'm going to buy any kind of food, whether that's at the grocery or eating out or anything in between, I pull out this card. On top of that, I will be using this card for any direct airline flight purchases. However, of course, I always want to try to use my points to get free flights anytime I can. And of course, I have to mention that on top of this card just being a really good card overall, it's one of the best designed cards I've ever seen, and it is partially metal, so you can use this card as a bit of a flex. I honestly recommend that if you spend a lot of money on food every month, which is of course going to be all of us, then you should get this card by either applying through Resi.com or by getting referred to it by somebody with a high referral link, because that's going to allow you to build up a solid Amex membership rewards points stash that you'll be able to transfer out to travel partners and get a ton of value for your points. Just remember that Amex points are not great for cashback, and if you're looking for a more flexible setup, then I'd probably go with the Chase trifecta. Now that we've covered the credit cards that I use in my wallet, let's go over some of the other powerful tools that I keep in my wallet, plus what wallet I actually use. And then at the end, I'm actually going to summarize what I use all of these credit cards for and why I think you should build a really similar setup. Now, the first miscellaneous card that we're going to need to talk about is going to be the Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Debit Card. I honestly don't know if that's exactly what this card is called because it has a super long name, but I would just call it the Charles Schwab debit card. If you haven't heard about this debit card by now, basically what it allows you to do is withdraw cash at any ATM worldwide and get reimbursed for all of the fees that the ATM charges you. So by opening the pair of accounts that is required in order to get this card, you'll be able to pull money out of your checking account at any ATM with no fees attached. Now, of course, whenever you actually do pull the money out, you're going to be charged those fees up front, but Charles Schwab will reimburse you in your checking account. Now, when I applied, you could just go to their website and search Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Account. There was a link that brought you to a page where you applied both for the checking account itself plus an investor account on top of that. And with those combinations of those two accounts that you sign up for at one time, once you make a deposit into your checking account, they're going to go ahead and send you the debit card in the mail. So it's a super easy thing to do that'll take you less than an hour in order to save yourself a ton of money if you ever pull money out at an ATM. Now let's go ahead and see what else I have in my wallet, which is going to be a trip for both of us, honestly. And the first thing I'm going to have is going to be my ID card, which I'm not going to show you all the information of because of course I don't want to dox myself, but I do live in Austin, Texas. If y'all didn't know that by now, I feel like I talk about that pretty often, so you probably do know. I also have my insurance card, of course, which is important to keep around. I have my old student ID card at the University of Texas, which I probably should pull out of my wallet at this point because of course I don't go there anymore. I graduated back in May. And then I actually have my parents' Southwest Rapid Rewards Premier card that I used to use while I was in school for certain purchases, as I mentioned in my last What's in My Wallet video. And I honestly forgot that I had this in my wallet because at this point I'm on my own payroll, so I pay for all my bills and I don't use a credit card for anything. It's a sad life whenever you graduate college, so take advantage of it while you can. On top of that, I do have my Cabo Bob's Burrito Punch Card, which if you live anywhere near Austin, Texas, you might know about this place, but they basically sell burrito bowls and burritos and stuff like that. So I've gotten my fair share of free entrees because of this card. And then I do actually have a few of my business cards here, which I won't exactly show you all the information on because I don't want to get doxxed once again. And then I have two $20 bills that I keep in there in case I ever do need cash. And now I may as well show you all the wallet that I actually use to carry all of these cards, and that's going to be the Tecovas card case, I believe it's called. As you can see here, it's engraved with Tecovas. And my girlfriend actually got me this wallet because of course she knows how obsessed I am with wallets and credit cards, but it's been a really solid wallet to keep in my pocket on a daily basis. My favorite part about it is that it still does show parts of my cards, so whenever I'm bored, I'll pull up my wallet and just look at it. As you can see here, this is where I keep all the metal cards in the back where you can see more of them, and then I keep all of my most used cards up here as well. And now, like I promised, let's go ahead and get into the summary of all the different credit cards I use and why I use them. The first card, once again, would be my OG Chase Freedom that I use for the rotating quarterly categories, this quarter being PayPal and Walmart, and then the $10 per month GoPuff credit. The Chase Freedom Unlimited is going to be my catch-all card that I use for the everything else category. It's also going to be used for 3x on drugstores and the $10 per month GoPuff credit once again. The Citi Custom Cash is going to be used to earn me 5x back on all gas spending, and it's also going to be used for my flexible spending card whenever I need it to be, and then I also use it for the cell phone protection it provides. I use the Chase Sapphire Preferred to give me 5x on travel through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal, 3x on streaming services, 2x on all miscellaneous travels like hotels and Airbnb, the $50 annual hotel credit, and the $10 per month I get with GoPuff. And then lastly, my Amex Gold card I use for all of my food purchases, that being 4x on groceries, 4x on restaurants. I also use it for 3x back on flights booked directly with the airlines, $10 per month for the Uber Cash credit with Uber Eats, and $10 per month with the dining credit that I use for Grubhub. So as y'all can tell, the core of my credit card setup is going to be the Chase trifecta, which is what I recommend everybody does for their credit card setups. But to learn more about why you need the Chase trifecta yourself, go ahead and watch this video next. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Of course, these are the most fun videos for me to make because I get to talk to y'all about y'all's credit card setups as well. So make sure to leave a comment about what you use in comparison to what I do. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.